Hello and welcome to the Inside Vancouver Public Schools podcast. I'm Steve Webb, Superintendent of Vancouver Public Schools. This episode is about finding a path forward when the landscape has changed dramatically. It's about the challenges of working in a once-in-a-lifetime global pandemic. It's also a hopeful discussion with three VPS rock stars about the unique ways that they're navigating this moment. Plus, we addressed a question on many people's mind as we head into winter: snow day or remote learning. The pandemic has taken so much away from our students already. There's something magical about a surprise snow day, don't you think? Here's our conversation. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with three VPS rock stars, Kara Hecker, Megan Bledsoe, and Erin Lark. I'm going to invite them to just talk a little bit about who they are, where they work, and a little bit about their role. First up is Kara.
Hi, my name is Kara Hecker. I am a school counselor at Hudson's Bay High School, and 10 years doing this, and we are definitely in different circumstances right now, but trying to pull forward with the same work of looking at the whole student, both socially, emotionally, and academically, and trying to remove issues that are causing them from being successful. So looking towards the 4 years in high school and beyond with that.
Thanks, Kara. Megan?
Hi, I'm Megan Bledsoe. I'm the 6th grade counselor at Discovery Middle School. And similar to Kara, I think a lot of what we do is identifying the barriers to that academic, social, emotional well-being, and help students address those so that we can support them so that they can be successful in school and in life.
Thanks, Megan. Erin?
Hi, I'm Erin Lark, and I'm the 2021 Regional Teacher of the Year for Southwest Washington and ESD 112. I'm a proud staff member at Vancouver iTech Preparatory up the hill right next to WSUV campus. And it's my job right now to teach science and STEM for the great community that we have here in Vancouver, and really see how we can change the teaching and learning environment to meet our needs in this very unique situation, and then take those good things that we learn in this with us when we come back to classrooms.
Thanks, Erin. Just to give you a sense of how impressive the three panelists are with us this afternoon, I want to just share some of the accolades that Kara, Megan, and Erin have received. Discovery Counselor Megan Bledsoe is the 2020 Washington State School Counselor of the Year and is a finalist for the National 2020 School Counselor of the Year. And we certainly want to extend our very best wishes to Megan as that process unfolds. I certainly know that she will represent Team VPS and certainly Discovery Middle School with all of the pride that she brings and passion to her work. Hudson's Bay Counselor Kara Hecker was a 2019 finalist for the Washington State School Counselor of the Year. And Erin Lark was the Washington finalist for the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching, and recently was named the Regional Teacher of the Year. And so congratulations, Kara, Erin, and Megan, for those accolades, and certainly for representing the very best of what's occurring in our schools on behalf of children and families. So, of course, we're sitting here at nearly 8 months of a pandemic, and what is top of mind, I think, is how are we managing through this in such a way that still leans into the kinds of relationships with students and families, even in a full remote experience, that continue to build supports and confidence in our students. So, Kara?
The thing that really stands out to me is a lot of the work we were doing prior to being in closure really has made this a process that has helped, because Our kids knew that they had support systems at school. And so that carried over, that even though they couldn't just come to my office to check in with me and they couldn't just find me at any time, that they knew I was here, they knew about me, they knew what kinds of things we offered at our school. And so it made it so that it was a lot easier to be able to make phone calls, to be able to to do emails and know that they were going to connect back and know that they were going to reach out. So I feel like that work that we did prior to going in was so important in being able to transition to this, and is going to be what can circle us back, is that even though they're struggling with remote learning, they know that they have support systems at school that they can reach out to and that we're going to get them through.
Yeah, thanks, Kara. Megan, talk a little bit about how important, in light of this pandemic, social and emotional supports for kids are at this moment in time.
Very important, because as we've seen on a national level, depression and anxiety rates have really gone up. So now more than ever, it's important for us to connect with each other and support each other. And so I am daily impressed with the creative solutions that I'm seeing teachers and counselors doing. I'm regularly inspired by what they're doing, trying to replicate it myself and integrate that into my program. So one of the ways that I've seen that counselors have been doing that is having conversation circles, drop-in office hours, running clubs, so that we can still have that sort of unstructured connection time for peers to connect with other peers, because that is very important socially, emotionally at this developmental stage. So I've seen some creative ways that counselors have been doing this and teachers within their classrooms, and it's quite an inspiration.
Yeah, I too am inspired by the way in which our entire team are creating wraparound supports for children that really are building relationships, even when relationships can't happen face to face. Erin, talk a little bit about the way in which some of the technology solutions are being utilized in your classroom with your students and with families in particular, as a way of staying connected around student learning supports.
I think that before this happened, we all were using technology, excited for technology, and seeking out new ways that technology could make learning happen as a supportive structure. And when this happened, we had to lean heavily in the direction of our base structure. And that was a surprise, but it was a surprise that we took in stride and instantly made mountains move out of the way so that we could reach every student with tools that they needed, with access that they needed. And we are still working with our communities to put all of those pieces in play and change policies and practices for within our community that make sure that our learners are never going to be far from that access and can always make those connections. And that's something we've been able to do because our families have shared with us their needs and communicated those things with us as well. We have had the most wonderful interactions with the families that I reach out to in my classroom and those of my colleagues and those across the state and beyond. People are feeling like school is something for them, that it's an essential part of the community, and they are now understanding how their needs are essential to us, important, and they are driving those changes that we're seeing. So that requires extensive communication skills that I'm excited to continue to work on and develop. The same thing for my colleagues. I know we all feel that way. How can we tell and show you from a distance how much we care? And I love seeing that happen. And I love that we have all been able to do that, because this has meant all the difference in helping everyone stay connected to our social and emotional needs, is knowing you are not alone. Your needs are important. Your child's learning is important to us.
I'm so incredibly inspired by the work that is happening on behalf of students and families. And Erin, you're right. Educators are moving mountains in order to stand up high quality remote learning experience. It's not perfect. It has some unique challenges, certainly for students and families. As you think a bit about the challenges that students and families are facing as part of this remote learning experience, how do you see students and families adapting?
I think that the drop-in help desks are really great for overcoming the various unpredictable technology issues that inevitably come up. I think that has been a great skill that our families have started to find as another resource in helping them. I've also seen some very amazing creative and supportive systems that families have put together where they've sort of created virtual kind of classrooms or offices for their own children and having visual calendars and highly structured and setting up alarms. And it's been great to see that they've been really connecting with their teachers, with us, to find solutions and strategies to overcome sort of the obstacles of not having that structure already built into a in-building learning environment, but providing something similar in their own home.
Thank you. Kara, how do you see students and families that you're working with adapting during these challenging times?
Similar things that Megan mentioned. And I also am seeing parents are getting a little bit more involved than maybe they were before because they have to see what's going on because the work is happening at their home. So I think that a lot of the adapting is just checking in more, being able to be a little bit more involved with their student schoolwork that they didn't always have to be because it was kind of taken care of when the students went to school. Being able to reach out for questions and just being able to figure out creative ways to help support their students, and then being able to support and have grace with the staff as well too. They know we're all in this together. So it's definitely a struggle and there's tears often, but I think that those are tears that they're able to come to us with and we can work through with them.
Yeah. I have to tell you, as a parent with children in the school system, I'm leveraging the Canvas Parent app almost daily. And at one point, my son Levi said, "Dad, I got this dialed in. You don't have to check in with me daily. You don't have to let me know whether or not an assignment is missing or what's next in the queue." And what I've realized, and some of this is about where he is developmentally, but I just see increased ownership of the responsibilities that at least my children are taking relative to their role as a learner. And I certainly appreciate all of the scaffolded supports, the communications, the reminders, all of the tools that are at our fingertips to access information that helps inform and intervene when necessary. So it certainly isn't a perfect solution, but set of solutions, but it certainly is helping support my children in this pandemic. So when you take a look at this experience, and of course we may be in remote learning for some time in light of this fall surge, the upcoming flu season, rising COVID-19 transmission data here, not just in the county, but in the state and throughout the nation. When you look back at this point in your career, what are you going to remember most?
I think that I will remember most the renewal of understanding to an even greater depth how much we need each other. I think that right now, with all that we have going on with the novel coronavirus and all that we are experiencing in society as well, this has been a challenging time. And it's also been an opportunity to show caring like we haven't had before. And that's what I want to take with me, is how much I have missed my students, and how much I have missed my colleagues, all of them, and how much I have missed running into people out and about at Costco or at conferences or anywhere. I miss people. And I hope that when we face a challenge like this again, that we remember how much we cherish those interactions with each other, what it means to be able to extend a hand or a hug, just to see someone and give them that high five, or with a student to be able to see when they're struggling and make some suggestions based on those things, or to meet with your colleagues and come up with fantastic ideas because you're in the room generating that, or really just to walk down the street and smile knowing that we made it through, and that we made it through with something really fantastic, and that cherishing that we are going to do for all of each other. That's what I want to take with me.
Wow, there's so much joy in that reflection. It's a hopeful, inspirational sort of takeaway. 2020 has been a challenging year, not just because of the pandemic. We've seen all kinds of other issues relative to politics in this nation, relative to demonstrations, and the issue of race and racism surface as a central challenge that we still wrestle with as part of the fabric of our society. So, Megan, what might you remember most?
I would say definitely 2020 has been an incredibly challenging year. There's been a lot more crying involved than I think that I certainly anticipated at the beginning of 2020, but there's also been a lot of growth and a lot of hope. I think that the pandemic helped us also just sort of take a pause, like Erin was saying, and realize what is really important. What are our essential things? And just take a moment to reflect upon that and structure our lives around what's really important. And the social justice movement has been part of having some difficult but essential conversations. And as Kara can vouch for, our role as counselors sort of exists in these difficult conversations, no matter what they are, but they're important. And this is one that I think as a society is critical. And I'm excited that we are having that conversation on a national level, on a local level, so that we can make the necessary positive changes that we need. So I'm hopeful that with time, I will look back and I will see that this was really hard, but completely worth it.
I share that hopeful vision around cultivating and creating a more just and humane world for each and every child in Vancouver Public Schools, and certainly in Washington State and in our great nation. Kara, what might you remember most?
I think the word that I have used the most often during this, and that will stand out the most, is just the grace that we are having to give to each other, not just in the school system, but just in the world. There just has to be so much grace given to being in this all together with uncertainty. Like, there's nobody out there that can say, I know what's going to happen. And so although everybody faces it a little bit different, we all have the same restrictions and we all have the same things going on where we have to allow grace for each other. And I feel like that's going to be something that we can bring back from this, is that we give each other grace and we give each other that, just that the love and appreciation for just being unique individuals and being able to come together as community. I also feel the same way with the social justice. I remember thinking back last spring, man, I wish so much I was with my kids right now. I can't believe I'm away from them. Like, I know they're hurting, but the conversations that I have had with kids around this is, these kids are going to be our future. And I feel so hopeful knowing that how much they are thinking about these social injustices and how much they want to change things. And it kind of brings tears to my eyes just thinking about it more often than not. And one other just funny story is that I think kids are going to appreciate school a lot more. In fact, at Picture Day a couple weeks ago, I had a student that I often am telling to get to class who likes to wander the hall. And I said, man, I'd give anything to be hollering at you to get back in the classroom. And he goes, you know what? If I was at school, I'd be in the classroom all the time. You wouldn't even have to holler at me. I'd be so happy. So I think we're going to see some change in our students in that respect as well, too.
Yeah. Student agency is so critically important, not just during learning, but as we think about, this transformation that is happening, this sort of cultural awareness and empowerment relative to matters of social justice. I too am hopeful and inspired by this generation, and frankly, I believe that they will lead the way and continue to show us a path forward where we can create a more equitable society where every person has all of the opportunities that are afforded in American society. So on a personal level here, how are you taking care of yourself and your family? We're not just educators, right? We also might be partners, we might be parents. Just talk a little bit about self-care.
So I'm the proud parent of a 5th grader at Philida, that's Ava. And in our family, we've gone a 2-part process for this. Part 1 is that we've made a hiking bucket list. So we have found the hikes that we've yet to do in our area and have made them a priority on the weekends. We spend a day going out and exploring nature and getting to see people at a distance and take up some bird watching with our binoculars and have a great time watching the seasons turn outside in a really safe way and getting that fresh air we need. And then the other part of that is that we've started a classics movie night on Friday. So we make pizza, and then my husband and I, who are both children of the 80s, are showing my daughter, usually to her delight, movies from that time that we enjoyed as kids. And so this month we are on the Indiana Jones franchise, and so she just got to see the first Indiana Jones and really enjoyed it. And she also commented on how different the special effects were when that was filmed versus what we might see now. So we'll check in again on her opinions after we've seen the Crystal Skull. And that's just been something really joyful to end our week with and get us ready for hiking the next day.
I do think this pandemic has caused families to really reflect and connect. And certainly it sounds like your family is taking time and leaning into outdoor and indoor activities that allow for the kind of emotional support and fun and joy that are so critically important developmentally in terms of relationships. So, Kara, talk a little bit. How are you taking care of yourself during this pandemic?
Well, that's a very interesting question. And anybody that's watching this, if I said that I started off really good with self-care, would know I was lying. So I had actually a very scary health issue right before school started, which they're still running tests on. In fact, I have a heart monitor on today, which just figuring out if what exactly happened. I had an issue where I collapsed at the store, and they're still trying to figure out why. Sounds like it's probably due to overexhaustion, and I was really running myself to the ground, trying to capture what I do, but switching it to remote. Since then, I've had to, and that was on August 31st, since then I've been doing a lot better. One of the reasons I'm coming into work and not working remotely all the time, I'm listening to the people in my life that are telling me to shut down, including my students. My students are telling me that too. And I'm just trying to remember that I am constantly preaching self-care, and I'm not doing a good job of representing that if I'm not doing it myself. So it just means really like finding some quiet times and with family, being able to work in the yard and not feel guilty about it, being able to like have some downtime. And even though I have a 17-year-old and I thought, man, we're going to be stuck at home with sassy teenage years, it's been amazing. The conversations that we've had as a mom and daughter have been amazing. Like just to be able to watch her grow and see how she's thinking about all of this. So we just get to spend lots of time together and find, movies to watch and TV shows to watch and just time together to talk and play games and everything. And as I'm working through learning, I do not have to be a workaholic and I can still do my job.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about the health challenge, and certainly us passionate educators often can overcommit, and we're the first to sort of burn the candle at both ends and realize that if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of others. And I'm glad you've got folks in your life who are helping you strike a better work-life balance, because our kids are depending upon you, Kara, and you know that, and you've got to take care of yourself so that you can be the best that you can be in your role at Bay. Megan.
Yes, I also wanted to highlight, Kara, that I definitely appreciate that you're taking your own advice and doing some self-care. It can sometimes be hard to remember that. And the strategies that I've been using for self-care are similar to what I've used prior to the pandemic, but probably a lot more amplified and a lot more outdoors, which is walking. I go for a lot of walks. My family calls me the dog of the family because anytime I see anyone walking towards the door, I'm like, where are you going? Are you going for a walk? Let me get my jacket. I'm coming with you. I take any opportunity I can to stretch my legs, and I'm also harassing them all the time. Did you go for a walk today? When's the last time you went for a walk? How long was that walk? So exercise is important. It's a little bit harder for sure since various avenues such as our gyms are closed, but we've been getting outside and exercising more that way and taking our family walks, either when they want to or not. We play a lot of games together as well. We're a gaming family. We've created our own game called Gambling Yahtzee, just to add a little extra element to it. So we've been circulating the same $15 of quarters among us all. I usually have the biggest stash, but every now and then they'll win out and I'll be a little kind and hook them back up so that we can keep our gambling Yahtzee going. And like Erin, there's some movies or shows we've been kind of watching our way through. Parks and Rec is always like one that just can warm our heart. And so we often watch one of those when we're looking for a little pick-me-up.
Well, I certainly moving and getting outside can clear the mind and give us a chance to sort of just reconnect with who we are emotionally and spiritually. So good for you. And Erin and Kara, I'm glad all three of you are really leaning into investing in yourself and sharpening your own saw so that you can support the students that you serve in each of your roles. So here's the last question. And I'll state this again so that we can get this edited appropriately. So here's the last question. We've stood up Remote Learning 2.0 in ways that were much different than they were in the spring. Clearly, we can support students and families in a high quality context through remote learning. So here's the question. That's the backdrop. Got it? All right. So the question is, snow day or no snow days during inclement weather? We'll take Megan first, since you're shaking your head. Do we call a snow day, or do we go remote learning?
That's a tough one. I mean, the benefit of remote learning is that it doesn't matter if it's inclement weather, we can still continue our learning. But there is something magical about getting an unexpected day off. That's a toss-up. I don't know if I can land on a specific analysis. I'll have to continue thinking about that one.
So you're going to straddle the fence. Okay, all right. Kara, how about you? Snow day or remote learning day?
Is there an option for it to be a 2-hour late arrival or a 2-hour early release?
No, we're not going to equivocate here. We gotta commit. Snow day or remote learning day?
Oh gosh, that is tough because I agree that there's something magical about, ooh, there's a snow day. But it was kind of nice during the fires to be able to still have those days and not have to shut down and know that we're not going till July with this. So I think I would lean a little bit more into being able to do it online, but maybe we're flexible with, here, have a little bit more time to play in the snow, or, so get it to count. But maybe the activities are do math in the snow, or yeah.
All right, so a creative solution to try to straddle the fence. Yeah. Dr. Lark, snow day or remote learning day?
Sir, I know I represent my contingency when I firmly, clearly say snow day. My students have asked that question, and we've enjoyed a fair debate. They were very fair in coming up with all the reasons just shared with Megan and Kara about wanting to learn and understanding how this year is different. But at the same time, they all knew that looking out that window, that freedom and childhood would be calling them. And they want to go out there and enjoy what we get this winter and find that joy in a snowball or a snowman, or just getting to be a piece of winter and a little bit of freedom.
Well, I certainly appreciate the manner in which the three of you have responded. I want to just say I too believe there is some magic in a snow day, a special magic, and at the same time, I also know that running school all the way to July isn't something that necessarily is in the best interest for our students and our families and our employees. So we're going to strike the right balance here. I just want to let you know that we're going to allow snow days, but only 2 snow days for this calendar year. And then in the event that we need to enact remote learning in lieu of snow days, I think that strikes the right balance so that we're not extending the calendar into the following week of June. So with that, I just want to take a moment to thank all three of you for joining this conversation and congratulate each of you on your distinguished honors and recognition, each well-deserved and earned. And just want to thank you for your passion and commitment to your work, your passion and commitment and love to the children that you serve, and want to wish you the very best as we transition into this upcoming holiday season. So with that, thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. I want to thank Megan, Kara, and Erin for joining this conversation and congratulate each of them again on their distinguished honors and recognition. And I'd like to thank every VPS staff member for their passion and commitment to their work and to the children and families whom they serve. I'd also like to wish everyone the very best as we transition into this upcoming holiday season. So with that, thanks for joining me for this episode of Inside VPS. Take care.